Kia ora koutou katoa. My name is Ivor Jones. Welcome to the live stream of a Kōrero with Maude, Maxwell and Debbie Hocart. He Kōrero I Ōpōtiki. This is being streamed live on our Facebook page and also onto YouTube, and it'll be recorded there so people can come and have a kōrero. Can you say something, please, Debbie?
Sorry, can't hear you.
Okay,
yes,
you might
I'm
have to turn it
here.
up.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Maude.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Deborah.
I'll get us started off, eh?
Kia ora, Maude. Kia ora.
E te atua manakati a mātou mahi I tēnei rā, I runga o te ingoa tapu, Heavenly Father, bless us, guide us, show us the way in the work we do today, in the holy name, Amen.
Amen.
Welcome everyone for coming along to He Kōrero I Ōpōtiki. We've got a couple of topics to talk about tonight, and the first one was about my dear friend, Shona Hammond-Boys. I guess it was a surprise for everyone to see Shona's this article in the Ōpōtiki News, which came out this Thursday, a couple of days ago, February the 9th, showing that Shona is leaving Ōpōtiki and moving on. Shona and I have been friends for about the last 10 years, and I've done some voluntary work with Shona around the Ōpōtiki Children's Art House, and it's been a real fantastic actually honour to know Shona and to have worked with Shona during this period of time. And she's done a great lot of work for the Ōpōtiki community. So we just wanted to acknowledge Shona and the masses of work that she's done for the Ōpōtiki youth. And it's just fantastic. So I'd just like to acknowledge Shona. Yeah. Have you got anything to add, Deb or Maude?
Oh yes, if Shona is on or gets the opportunity to see this on our YouTube or like Facebook Live, I just want to say a big shout out to you, Shona, for all that you did for our community, for our youth, and she's done an amazing job with little funds, little money. Her heart was in it. She's whakatō here as far as I am concerned. She's one of us, and I just bid her farewell. And I know that losing my Uncle Chippy Apanui last year was a big one for her. I had the privilege of talking to Shona in the last art house on Wellington Street, and she said she missed him heaps. He did a lot with the youth. Like Shona, they both worked with youth that were had learning disabilities, so very hard to teach, and they learnt through art, music, and yeah, that type of therapy. So on behalf of Ōpōtiki, thank you very much, Shona.
Kia ora, Shona. Thank you, Maude. Debbie, did you come across Shona during your time as a councillor for the Ōpōtiki District Council, and did your paths cross?
Not very much, but I've seen some of the work that the children have done, and it's very impressive. And her whole voluntary role doing that stuff, and for all the help we watched the video with them building, they were building something. It was wonderful to see. It was really awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like taking over the job and it's falling apart once she leaves.
Yeah, Shona's had some very challenging opportunities, but I'll just show you her website, ShonaHammondBoys.com. Shona is an artist, is an author and a musician and filmmaker. And, like some of the, if you go and visit her website, it'll tell you essentially everything you need to know about what's been going on in the Ōpōtiki Art House, the struggles that's gone on. And yeah, I really encourage you to have a look. And it really details a lot of what Shona's done while she's been here in Ōpōtiki. And I'm just playing one of the videos that we made for her, which was the move actually from the old space around to the new space. And this was on the last day, I believe it was, that we were there, and Shona was getting all packed up and ready to move. And Shona already had another place to go to. So she's very much a mover and a shaker. But I'd encourage everyone to come and have a look at her website. And Anthony and his partner are now taking over the Children's Art House along with Catherine Collier. And so I'd encourage people to get along and have a look. And this is one of the things that happened last year. There was a fancy dress party. And here's Anthony is now looking after New Zealand Children's Art Ōpōtiki. And he's got a couple of supporters there as well, including Catherine Collier. That's where it is. And it's a fantastic opportunity, and I hope it still continues on. And there's Shona. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for that. Now, besides giving thanks to Shona for being around and wishing her well, she did have some health problems, which is why her whānau said, no, you're not staying in Ōpōtiki anymore. We got to get you up to Auckland. She's moving on to better things, and I know that she will be looked after up there, and she will keep everyone busy in Auckland as well. There was a subject that you had, Debbie, suggested. Which one would you like to kick off first?
You might have to remind me what I told you. I'd like to talk about the head students at the college, but I think I had that down. I'd just like to make sure I did. It's wonderful, those head students. They are fabulous kids, and I really hope that the Ōpōtiki News does an article on them. It's just, they're wonderful.
You mean these ones?
Some accolades.
Yep.
Yeah, you mean those four? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're wonderful young leaders.
Great. So,
and I think Ōpōtiki News needs to be alongside the college more than it actually is.
Cool. Yeah, some good news stories.
Yeah, good news stories. It's fabulous.
And do you know these leaders in the college?
I am all through being the college nurse, and so I do know Jodie Porter's boys on the right. Not really well, but I have met him socially. And I do, and I know, the others just through being at the school.
Cool. Well, hopefully Ōpōtiki News might pick up on it and go and have a look. The Kura website as well has, I think it's been updated, but it talks about the leadership programs that they have in the Kura, which is really good too. Yeah, it's really good news. What was your second item, Debbie?
It was probably on my letter. It took the paper 3 weeks to publish, and I had to ring them, chase them up. It seemed it had gone lost. I'm not sure how. I've had some positive feedback from it. Just people saying that they had actually noted some of those things themselves and felt they didn't have the right words to actually put a letter to the editor. I would say just put it in. It doesn't matter, say how you feel. But I have had some feedback that had noted those things happening. Definitely the one about the conflict of interest is hugely important, because it's a perception for also for the public, and if the public perceive that councillor has got an interest or a financial interest in it, then that is enough for you to need to declare. And this councillor said they want to be transparent and honest, so actually isn't at all.
So you're quite clearly saying there's some inconsistency between what the councillors are saying and what they're doing. Would that be fair?
Yes, that would be fair. Yep.
And that's what you raise in this article, which you submitted to the opinion letters to the editor. Am I correct? On the last on the Thursday just gone, and this is your letter to the editor, Off to a Bad Start, where you highlight some of the points that I think Mike Fletcher raised in his opinion piece some weeks earlier.
Yes, and this was meant to follow through after he wrote that letter, the one about the secret meetings, which are actually, and I believe council have had 2 now. Mike hasn't made any mention of that in his articles at all.
Okay, do you mean this article, Stevie? I've had a look through the Eastern Bay app. That's the only way that you can find the Ōpōtiki news online. And in late, I think, December, it's harder to grab the articles. So this is the one from the 19th of Jan, and I think it pertains to the issues that you raise, Debbie, where I think it's in this one where he refers to secret meetings being held and stuff. And workshops.
Yeah.
So your letter
So
was in
far
response
that he hasn't talked about. It was in response to that.
to this particular one.
Yeah.
All right. Maude, do you have anything to add?
I guess what I'd like to understand from secret meetings is where did that hail from? How was that? Who brought that kōrero to light? Is that Mike or?
It was Fletcher brought that.
Okay.
That was what he put with his opinion pages quite a while ago. Probably, I don't know, maybe a year ago he was starting that.
As an opinion piece writer for the Ōpōtiki News, is that what you're saying, Deb?
Yes.
Yep.
I'd have to say it's his assumption.
Yeah.
Based on assumption, his opinions, not based on facts. Would that be correct?
Yeah, if I can just give my opinion on Mike's opinion, you notice there's lots of white gaps. You know, he says a sentence and then there's a big gap, and then there's another sentence and there's a big gap. So, so I had to cut like 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to cut like 12 pages to put these 3 slides together. In an opinion piece, it's like smack dab in the middle of the Ōpōtiki News, and it takes up nearly 1 page or maybe even 2 pages if he has a lot to say. And I see people have responded in letters to the editor, and there is another opinion piece contributor who I believe is from Whakatane. But the way I read it and the way it comes across is it's a bit schizophrenic. It's saying one thing 1 minute and then saying another thing the next. And it really riles you up. And sorry, Mike riled me up when he got on his Te Tāhuhu o Te Rangi rant about having the name Te Tāhuhu o Te Rangi with library edit in it, because so everyone else understands it's a library. Now there's a whole discussion behind that. And sorry, Mike, but it's actually quite racist what you're putting forward. And I'll point out the white elephant in the room, but to have it supported by the Ōpōtiki News in the middle of the page as an opinion piece, this isn't an analysis. This isn't a judgment. There's lots of judgments going on, but there is no critical analysis of anything that he's talking about. And it gets all the rednecks up in arms. So there you go, Mike. I've finally said it. It's taken a couple of months, but my strength is in writing. Debbie, you did a fantastic letter in responding and highlighting some of the issues that Mike highlights in his rants. Last week it was, around dropping the age from 18-year-olds to 16 for voting. But then he got on a youth court rant. And there's no connection between the two. If you give kids more responsibility, they will give you more. They will be more responsible. But this society is structured in a way where punitive punishment is the way to go. It's not about restorative justice. It's about punitive judgment. And his last article was all about that. So that's my rant. Debbie?
Mikey. The other part of the your kōrero, Deborah, you raised, I'm assuming here, business owners making the conflict of interest is interesting because if you're business owners and you have shares in certain areas such as mussel farm or harbour development, then you should be, that conflict should be automatically declared in the meeting anyway. That should be just red flag in every meeting, and they should have no voting rights whatsoever in any decision making, because that could be seen to be in their favour and not in the best interest of the community. I hold shares too in the mussel farm as well, so it'll always be about my people first. But declaring a conflict, and whatever that looks like for me and any hui, needs to be red flag. It's common sense all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is difficult for a small, because you want to have an interest in the things that come up, but you should at least, 2 of the councillors did declare it and they didn't vote on it, and 1 declared it and did vote on it. That is my issue. It is dishonest.
So what would be a process to deal with that, Debbie, in terms of, would you approach the mayor or is it the chief executive of the district council?
Look,
it
has been brought up in the past when I was on last term. It comes down to the councillor in person making a decision, but if the public were to put pressure on, look, and be doing this, that is probably the only way to change it.
Yeah.
Well, that's my rant. I am putting the pressure on. Declare your conflict.
And and if you want the legal thing, I did in my letter that there is an act that says you have to declare it. I don't think a person could be taken to court. They definitely could be challenged on it. The chair of the finance committee could probably be spoken to about it. He's clear knowledge of local government things, and maybe that's what I should do with it, is go to him.
Government officials should be putting out a form with declaration of interest anyway, and naming all of those in any application, so that they can actually monitor when those meetings are happening, because we can get our fingers on those minutes anytime and declare a conflict or put a complaint through because that person hasn't actually declared or has made a voting decision based on something that they are shareholders in. Yeah, you should be penalised. There should be. I mean, we're just going through running for council. There was a lot of rules and regulations. I can't see how you can get away with anything else when you're in council to that degree. That's me. Sorry, Ivor.
No, that's okay. And once is okay, or twice is okay. But if it becomes a pattern of you are not disclosing things, then that becomes an issue.
I don't think once is okay. Twice is okay, to be quite honest.
So that would imply then that something...
You're in that role.
But that would imply, Debbie, that something needed to be done about it, and nothing's been done.
Yeah. No.
So if you're saying it's that important...
I believe it is important because the public see.
Internally reprimanded. There's a little piece or place or space for forgiveness, and then a second time is strike 1, 2, and 3. There's no strike 3 in this regard.
Yeah. I think initially the mayor probably should be challenging it.
So I think it's a keep an eye on the space sort of thing. The Ōpōtiki News, keep an eye on that because they do some good reporting on what's happening in the district council. And to be fair to Mike also raised in a couple of his in one of his articles a while ago that it is very hard to keep an eye on what the council is doing in every detail, like hopping along to every meeting or reviewing every document. It is difficult to do for anyone, let alone a member of the public who is interested in the district council and what it's doing and is trying to keep tabs on things and how things are going. So fair dibs to Mike. Yes, it is difficult to do. But if you are interested in this sort of stuff as a member of the public, you do need to have a look at bits of information and see if anything has been done just to say, hey, Mr. Mayor, we noted that there was a potential for conflicts of interest not to be acknowledged or flagged in meetings. Have you guys dealt with that? And he might be able to say, yep, district councillors have been notified. It's been reinforced that they should be declaring conflicts in meetings or where decisions are being made, and we are moving forward from there. So a response is on record.
What, this kōrero that I'm about to give, it's not, wasn't put on the agenda tonight, but I just like to say, I think if we're talking about the Ōpōtiki News, I'd like to see them, report on other things, such as what you were saying, Deborah, earlier, highlighting the success of our youth, and also a symposium that happened over the weekend, over the Waitangi weekend. Things like that need to be showcased in our Ōpōtiki News. And I still can't get over the fact that one person has one page. I just don't have time to do one page every week. Not even the community page that I'm admin for, So, yeah, I think, things like that, the reform, the water reform is coming through, the implementation, more Māori consultations being recognised and implemented. So over the weekend, we had some of our local people that are highly regarded. Some of them got a doctorate, professor in Waikato University, just to name one, were speakers at the symposium. It's really important to just highlight those things. And then more about people, if they were aware of what was happening, leading up to that weekend, we would probably have had more in attendance and, registered. I say there was a few there, but there could have been a lot more. And that was held in the big theatre, the Deluxe Theatre. So you can give a whole page to Mikey Boy, you can give a whole page to something like that, something worthwhile.
Yeah, and take away the court section, please. Yeah. Take away the court section. It's like,
I like the Māori.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yes, go, Ōpōtiki News.
Well, we've covered off haere rā to Shona Hammond-Boys. We've talked about the Ōpōtiki District Council and some decision-making that's going on there and just asking for a bit more transparency. We've said congratulations to Ōpōtiki College and acknowledging their student leadership for 2023. And we've also given the Ōpōtiki News some ups and some downs as well in terms of, hey, here might be some tips that you might like to work on, given that 60% of Ōpōtiki is Māori as well. So, you might want to consider that audience. But is there anything else that you might like to end with, the ladies?
No.
Yeah, nah.
I think it'd be good to ask some. Sorry. I think if we've got get a lot more. Sorry.
Hold on, Deb. Let more go.
If we get a lot more people involved in participating in these forums, if we can get some of their comments, I'm speaking to the audience now, if we can get some comments from you on what it is you'd like to see. Coming up for me is like the Ōpōtiki neighbourhood support and all that stuff. So I will be talking to Ivor soon so I can promote that a little bit more, because with a lot of criminal activities that are going on, neighbourhood support is the way to go in terms of watching out for one another. So I think, like, I like to hear from the audience what it is that they would like, in terms of the kōrero and what's happening. I know rubbish dumping, the rubbish, bins that are out at the moment, the latest QV valuations on the homes has been raised. So I've been watching the comments in the Ōpōtiki page, so maybe we can look at some of the things there.
Oh, yeah, I got my letter.
Yeah, I got mine too. And so just watch the comments, I think, in some of the on social media, and have a look at what we can do and bring in some kind of normality to those sort of things, and bring in something that will interest our audience as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the process we follow, whānau, is that Maude and Debbie and I and Louis, we ping some subjects between ourselves before the next meeting. And then we say, okay, here are some topics or kaupapa that we'd like to focus on in our half an hour kōrero. And this still is an experimental thing. We're just testing it out and seeing what the traction is like, seeing if there's any interest, and whether we're able to make implement positive outcomes as a result of it. So please do give us some feedback. I am having a look at Facebook, and no comments are coming through as yet. So we'll just keep chugging this along as a mechanism for people to share and send it out there. And we're trying to raise the awareness of issues and events that are happening in the Ōpōtiki area. Oh, hold on, Maude. Just got a comment. I want to know what can be done about these young fellas on their motorbikes, wheel standing, no helmets, dangerous as. Thanks, Facebook user anonymous.
Yes, I actually seen that come up.
Was that? Oh, yes.
Yeah, it came up in the community page. I think that's a really good concern to talk about, and there has to be some responsibility within the community as well for these young ones. For me, I wanted to comment. I had to delete my comment because it wasn't nice. But at the end of the day, the concern is not only for innocent bystanders, but for themselves as well, and for their families. The impact is very grave. There's so much going on in that area. It's not a matter of just going. I see comments saying, okay, they need a space. You can't create a lot of space for just anybody and everybody. We just don't have the money.
You got a skate park. You got a skate park. You got all the fields. What do you need a bike to go? What do you need a bike to go riding around on those for?
But if you want to ride on the road, use the law. Wear a helmet, and stay within the speed limit, because would you like us to be on the road like that, and next minute we're hitting your parents or something like that? How would you treat your own parents, or how would you treat your grandparents? And we've got elderly on the road as well, and young people. There's lots of traffic these days. It's not that in the olden days where they had the slower vehicles, less traffic. It's a big one, but hey, look, I don't have the answers tonight, but let's see what we can come up with, maybe.
Thank you for that question,
Fiona. Something that I will raise in the meeting that I'm having with Richie Miller, who's part of the neighbourhood support. So I will raise that, and I am going to raise that. Yeah.
No, sounds good. Cool. It's like last week where on the front page there was one of the sergeants saying, hey, let us have access to your security camera footage, basically, and then we can help you to identify people that are, running around doing things at this time. Cool.
That was a good question, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fiona, for sending that question through. And we'll keep chewing the fat and seeing where it goes. So with that, whānau, it is now 29 minutes we've been going for. I'd like to thank Maude and Debbie for giving up your time and being able to have a kōrero about those particular points that are of interest to us. Shona Hammond-Boys, our dear friend, Ōpōtiki College and their leadership, the Ōpōtiki News, and the Ōpōtiki District Council. So I'll sign us off then.
Thank you.
Ka ino i tātou, kia tātou katoa, te ata whai tō tātou araki ai hukraiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake. Amene.
Amen.
Thank you very much, ladies. Don't drink too much
Kia
tonight.
ora, pōmari.
Bye-bye.
Pomari.
Pōmari.